All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another Thursday night live stream here on Drums and Drams. Oh, is my sweater freaking the camera out? It looks freaky on my screen. Let me see if that's just if that's just me, or is it is that pattern throwing the camera off? I can't really tell. Who cares? I'm not gonna take it off. I'm not gonna subject you to that, I promise. Anyways, what's up, guys? We've got some good stuff to get into this evening. I think I grabbed the wrong sample. Give me a sec. There we go. All right. So I just got done eating dinner, so I still had like a little bit of wine left. So no, this is not a wine live stream. No, I don't know what I'm talking about with wine. I'm just figured I would just say cheers to you guys initially with a glass of wine. This is just a cheap Bordeaux here, and so that's gonna be my first sip tonight. But it's definitely not the focus of the live stream, so don't worry. It's not not changing the name of the channel. But cheers to you guys. Let me know what you're sipping on in the chat. I'll check the chat in just a second. Hit the like button. You guys maybe saw the thumbnail on the way in, kind of the whiskeys we're gonna be tasting tonight. Some new bottles I picked up. Looking forward to it. Also, those of you in the chat who've ever watched any wine videos, or if you're into wine yourself, I'm still trying to figure out how they do the whole, I don't know what you call it, swirly thing on the mouth, you know? That thing, still working on that. Anyways, I'll leave this out. I'll finish it here in just a second as I talk to you guys about what we're doing on this stream. This week has been back to work for me, back to the orchestra, is really what I mean. So we got some concerts coming up this weekend, and yeah, just been kind of go all week. It's good to be back doing that, but also it's like, geez, it's a little bit stressful. So what's up, Gary Franchi? Top Dog, I see you. Michael S. Hello, all. Looking forward to the 2XO opinion. Was a little tipsy when I tried it, so not real memorable for me. Yeah, so real quick, guys, some of the stuff we're going to be tasting tonight. 2XO, which is Dixon Dedman's new venture, as many of you already know. I'm certainly not the first to talk about this thing, so I might even be the last. I'm not sure. But it's a beautiful-looking bottle. Next up, also arrived today. Here we go. Tincup 14er. It's a 14-year version of MGP Tincup. And here, just so you can see the tube that it comes in. Well, it's a little too close for that. But you can see it comes in this presentation, which is really nice. You know, usually we're thinking about being, I don't know, responsible with the stuff we... What's the word I'm looking for? Not recyclable, but... yeah, I don't know, environmentally conscious about like packaging materials. Like I think a lot of packaging is way overdone. Now, if I would spend like $500 on a bottle, a nice box is not so bad. But I'm cool with this. I think the Tincup for this 14-year release, I think it's beautiful. I really, really dig it. So we're gonna take a look at that, and I have the 10-year to compare it to over here, which many of you know that I enjoyed that one. Now, this is a bottle that I actually didn't think I was going to get. Daniel P., who I think is probably in the chat, offered to snag me a King Ranch. I just said, hey, don't worry about it at the time. Someone locally sold this to me. He maybe didn't like it. It's an open bottle, but from a trusted person. he wasn't a fan, and he sold it super cheap. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and pick it up. I also snagged a 1989 Armagnac off of him, so, you know, it's kind of a 2-for-1 thing. And then finally, the last bottle to take a look at tonight is the Bourbon Junkies Backbone Pick, which is about 8.5 years old. Last week, or whenever my last live stream was, I guess, I tasted Matt Porter's Backbone Pick. There will be a video comparison of those two coming. So I'm not going to taste Matt's up against this one tonight. I'll just taste the Bourbon Junkies Pick alone. So these are the 4 bottles I'm going to focus on, although they all come with their own maybe comparisons. 2XO, I have some ideas. Tincup, definitely going to the 10-year for a comparison. And then King Ranch, I might throw a 117 series in for the King Ranch comparison, just to kind of, you know, see what that's all about. Good to see how these things stack up. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. No blind flight, no flights tonight. Truthfully, I'm going to try to keep the stream to an hour and a half max. I'm just tired. I'm tired as shit. I just need to get some sleep. I got to get the dishes going after this. You can see I need to shave my face. Desperately need a haircut soon, but got some stuff to take care of before I can go to bed, so I'm trying to get off early. Please hit that like button on your way in, guys. Let's get some more folks in here. Daniel says, pre-gaming with wine now. I'm going to get my last sip here. Never mind, it's too big for a last sip. Let's do 2. All right, so no more wine. No more wine. Although now I've got a purple mouth, so that's okay. Daniel says, drop some of your favorite purple wines. Drop some of your favorite new wines in here. I'm not even going to go there yet. I'm not even going to do that to myself. I have been drinking some Chateau Siron Margaux. That's that I've liked. We've enjoyed some of those. 2018, I think. I see you brought the itsy bitsy sized wine, says Sugar Kitty. That's funny. Yeah, Jeb. Jeb, I owe you a message, man. I promise I'm going to get back to you. Sorry, after having COVID and all that, I kind of fell off there for a second. James, what's up, man? Keep going here. Keep going. Sipping on Tincup 10 years says, are you slammered? I am playing with fire, I know. James got some Boone County in the glass. Good call, man. Jason, I'm going to find out about this 14-year Tincup. Sounds like you've already had the chance. Travis, good evening, Cam. You'll get World's Top Whiskey Taster next time. We'll see. I didn't even make it past as far as the actual competition is concerned, I didn't even make it past the video pre-screen round this year, so I don't know what that says about me, but oh well. Or the next time, seriously, I hope you had a great New Year as well. Yeah, we did Christmas with my family on New Year's because we missed Christmas. What's up, Amy? Good to see you. Nimrax, Copper Wolf, Dustin. Dustin, I saw a message come from you today, man. Sorry, I haven't been on top of my messages and Facebook and Instagram and stuff over the last week, so I'll get back to you. I hope it wasn't time sensitive. Local backbone to the Redemption High. Cool. It's good comparison there. MGP. So what are we going to start with? Let's go low proof. So let's start with the Tincup 14. Honestly, this might be the bottle that I'm most excited for tonight, if I'm being honest. The Tincup on the top here got a nice kind of like bronze, copper-ish type color here. It's nice. I dig it. The label, it just looks like a special bottle, and that's, I think, why I like it. Now, we are still down at 84 proof. So 42% ABV. We're in like low American whiskey / average Scotch territory right now in terms of proof. So color-wise, this thing is just, just kind of a gold color. It's really not dark. Very middle of the road. So that makes me a little nervous. Okay, I'm going to get the Tincup 10 ready for this comparison, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I want to really get into the 14-year by itself. Let me kind of reorganize these things here. I will pour out some 10-year just to get that going. Nick, what's up, man? Nick, we're gonna get together one of these days, man. Sorry, things have been crazy. I'm sure same for you as well. All right, get the lids back on these suckers. So, Tincup 14. Guys, are there any Ohio folks in here? If so, let me know. I haven't looked on OHLQ. Let me know if Tincup 14 has hit the state. I don't even know if we're going to get it. I'm not sure what distribution's like on this stuff. But here we go. Let's check it out on the nose. Huh. So I smelled this off the bottle when it, like this arrived a few hours ago, UPS. I smelled it off the bottle when I popped it open, and it smelled incredible. Like, extremely dark, extremely oaky. And because it's out of the bottle, proof is a little bit harder to gauge, especially with a small opening. It's not quite living up to my first impression off the bottle right now in the glass. It is a really dark profile. Yeah, I would say it's earthy and a little bit grassy. I don't know if that's the right way to put it. Grassy usually makes me think of like a Heaven Hill product that's not very good, or like Luxro 99. What is it? Ezra 99? Yeah. Ezra 99 has kind of this grassiness to it, and it's super bright. This one's not like a bright grassiness, but interesting earthiness, I would say. But there's tons of candied, like, grape notes in here. Yeah, I am going to compare it to the 10-year right away, because I'm just curious. Oh. Okay, so the 10-year, voice crack, the 10-year is actually more focused on the nose. It's entirely, for me, on that dark black purple fruit side of things. Blackberry, plum. Yeah, it's all kind of eggs in one basket, sort of a singular profile, but it's kind of maximizing it given 84 proof. You know, you can't expect too much of it. Whereas the 14-year is more delicate on the nose. It's not jumping out of the glass as much, which is hard to believe because the 10-year is really not jumping out of the glass. This is even less so. It is a more complex profile, but because it's such a low proof, the complexity and the fact that it's so delicate might actually hurt it. Like, it almost might be better at this proof point to be a one-trick pony, at least on the nose. I haven't tasted it. So palate could totally develop well and throw me for a loop. But the nose is interesting. It's really sweet. Like, way sweeter for me than the 10-year. 10-year's got a little bit more of a fruity and savory note. 14 is like, it just smells like there's sugar in the whiskey, which is not a bad thing. I really like it. All right, let's try it. Yeah. All right. It's fine. It's fine. It's not... Oh, I wanted to love this whiskey. Like, I'm still going to drink this. It's still good stuff. But, God, 4 extra years. I'm going to take one more sip before I dog it anymore. You know, one thing that this 14 reminds me of is the Remus Volstead, but like the wateriest Remus Volstead. And I think the Volstead's actually 14 years old. That would have been bottled in bond, so 100 proof. But it has this big, kind of like big orange note to it, big candied orange. And this 14, in addition to the kind of grape notes I talked about, it does have a bunch of that candied orange to go along with that earthiness and that kind of grassy, mossy note. So to me, it really smells like a watered-down Volstead. Now, at $70 or whatever, I think it's 70, 75 bucks. Not the worst thing in the world, but it's just really hard to... It's really hard to get behind the 84 proof thing. Little nuttiness there on the palate from the 14. All right. So, yeah, it's like the session IPA of whiskeys. You can just sit down with this and crush way too much of it and not think about it. But my God, like if you're not sitting here focusing on the whiskey, it's just you're gonna drink it and you're not gonna realize you're drinking 14-year MGP. It's just gonna be like just casual. And I don't know if I like that about it. When I think 14-year MGP, I kind of want something to be special. Now I go to the 10. Yeah. Darker, fruitier. More one-dimensional, like I said. Let's try it. The 10-year is better for me. I think the 10-year is outdoing the 14. I think if the 14 were bottled even at 90 proof, 95 proof, something along those lines, I think it would counteract how the age has mellowed the 14-year even more. If it had that proof bump and it drank the exact same as the 10-year, because right now it drinks even less, even lower proof on the palate than the 10-year. If you could match the drinking intensity on these, the 14-year I think I might like better. But right now, because the 10-year is a single focused profile, lacks complexity, but has a clear sense of direction to it, that helps overtake the fact that it's 84 proof. Yeah, I think I'm going to stand by that. Man, what a bummer, Let me check the chat. What is up? Sandeep's in here. David, good to see you. Richie Z. Joe Dickinson, haven't seen it in Cleveland. We just got the 10-year. Okay. Yeah. I'll be curious to see if we do get the 14-year. I don't know what distribution's like. Thank you, Amy. Everybody, please, please, please hit the like button. Please. It would help so much as I'm getting things back up and running here. By the way, we had a pretty nice turnout 2 nights ago on Tuesday for the Tuesday Taste Along, which was for Knob Creek 9-year. It was awesome. So for those of you that were hanging out that night, we had 75 on there, which is kind of crazy. So if you were there, thank you so much. That's really awesome. So yeah, JG 877 mash the like now. There we go. So Harrison says, fine is never what a company wants to hear about a product. Yeah, it's like whiskey. It's like whiskey in the background. Like that's how I would describe this. It's like I'm smelling a glass and there's whiskey on the other side of the room or something, Jason says, I got one. Great packaging, boring product. Yawn. Other Jason. Are you guys both Jason W? Oh, wow. That's going to confuse me. Fine was my exact word I used trying it this weekend for the first time. Yeah. Nimrax, I think it does. I'll do one more sip. Yeah, it really does. Jason, if it was 100 proof, I think it might have had more depth. I think so too. Every whiskey, as you guys know, from whether having it over ice or playing with water with your whiskey, whatever the case may be, there's that point of, you cross that threshold, the point of no return with your whiskey where it just falls completely apart. And I don't think the 10-year actually has hit that point. I think it's really damn close to that point. But the 14, I think, did hit that point. And at this point, it's just boring. There's a lot of potential there. I mean, you're talking... If this thing sees decent distribution, then you're talking a lot of 14-year MGP that just, in my opinion, was wasted on something this proof. I hope they have a bunch more laying around and they're planning on doing a cast strength release. But shit, if they release this stuff at cast strength, even 100 proof, and they upcharged me $50 for it, I'd probably pay it. That would still be under $10 a year for an MGP whiskey, and at an acceptable proof, other comparable things on the market, there's nothing like that. So with that availability, as long as this thing sees decent distribution, which I just don't know yet. Paul, Paul, I think this is not to me, I just think this is like whether or not you want to like the Tincup 10-year. In a lot of cases. Like for me, I want to like this thing because it's an accessible, decently available, cheap 10-year MGP product. But the complaints are not, there are plenty of complaints to be had about Tincup 10. Gary, yeah, I would say that's a little unnecessary. White Noise Whiskey Jeb. Damn, dude, I'm going to have to steal that and credit you every chance that I do steal that. John says Tuesday Taste Along was fun. Thank you, John. That's awesome. And John, I remember your comment saying you came over from the Whiskey Row stream, so good to have you back. David, disappointing to hear. What's the MSRP? I want to say $70 to $75 on the Tincup 14. Someone correct me in the chat if I'm wrong on that. Elevator music of bourbon. You guys are awesome. White Noise Whiskey and the elevator music of bourbon. That's funny. Yeah, Dustin, that's an interesting comparison. It's kind of like the Blantons of old MGP. Yeah. That's called Lorley or Gatsby. Yeah. That's right, Jeb. Robbie, I truly don't know if it's a money grab. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, to be honest. It seems like maybe they wanted to stick with the same proof. Like, is the standard Tincup 84 proof? I actually have a bottle unopened in the basement. I'm not going to go grab it, but do you guys know what is the standard proof of the ordinary Tincup? If it's 84 and they're making it a brand thing, then I get it. But, like, that's the Woodford approach, and I don't think it works. Nick, I don't know who this is. I actually don't know who that is. 70 MSRP. Background bourbon. There we go. Yeah, so I'm going to say the 10 years where it's at. But, of course, what do we got to do? Do a little blend. Let's see what happens with this. And while that blend kind of marries together, let me see what's going to be next. What proof is the Phoenix? 104? Probably the Phoenix is, or the 2XO, rather, is probably going to be next. So let's get into that. All right. Let me know what you guys are sipping on as you're hanging out this evening. And yes, please smash the like. Thank you, Krista. 64 people, only 41 likes. Come on. Hit the like button. Let's do it. So Thomas says, Eagle Rare 10, much better than Tincup 10, and it's $20 cheaper here in PA, and we get Eagle Rare. Yeah, so that's the difference maker, of course, is, availability of Eagle Rare is so random. Like in California, I find it all over the place. In Ohio, it's probably been a year and a half since I've gotten a bottle. I mean, I just don't go stand in line, and it never makes it to a shelf in Ohio, so it is what it is. If you talk about secondary prices of Eagle Rare, you're talking $50 to $60 typically is what secondary goes, and that's still $10 to $20 cheaper than the MSRP of the Tincup 14. We're talking Tincup 10, because I would definitely take Eagle Rare over the Tincup 14. Over the Tincup 10, I don't know. It just depends on the profile you like. Eagle Rare is a bigger whiskey, but there's a little bit more youth shining through. Even though it's 10 years old, there are still grain-forward notes on standard Eagle Rare. Single-barrel picks, you can get away from some of that youth. So that's kind of a preference thing. Value-wise, if you find Eagle Rare at MSRP, yeah, buy two of those instead of a Tincup 10. I would say that. Okay, John, 84 proof for regular Tincup. So there we go. It looks like that's just a brand thing they're doing, which, I don't know. Ooh. Nick says Jonathan Groff. My fault. Look him up. Who is that? Jonathan Groff. I'm gonna look it up on Google right now. American actor. Oh, I don't know if I look like Jonathan Groff. I guess maybe I could see it. I got real long hair right now, so that kind of helps. Frozen franchise. Oh, he voiced somebody in Frozen. Huh. Began his career on Broadway. Interesting. 71 in here. Awesome. Guys, hit that like button. So I'm going to taste real quick the Tincup 12 year. The 14 and 10 blend. Hey, that might be where it's at. Try that. If you guys have the Tincup 10 and 14, try a blend and play with it. This one had a little bit more Tincup 10 than it did 14. So let's say 60% 10, 40% 14. So what does that make it? Like a 10 cup 12 in 3 months? I don't know. Try that. That's actually pretty darn good. Kind of fixes some issues on both sides of it, on the 10 year and the 14 year. So let's get into the 2XO Phoenix blend now. More like Doogie Howser, says Jay. Okay. Jeb is sipping on Booker's Pinky. Gonna water it down to 10 cup proof. Yeesh. Yikes. Then you're drinking 84 proof 6.5 year whiskey from Jim Beam. That does not sound like something I want. 10 cup 13. All right. So, let me know in the chat if you guys have had the opportunity to try Dixon Dedman's new creation here. Again, I'll show you the bottle up close just real quick. Get that camera to focus. Maybe. It really wants to focus on the glass. There we go. So 2XO, I think it's a beautiful bottle. I love the shape. I love the branding. Golden black. Just looks super slick. All right, so we're talking about a $100 bottle. And when this was first released a few months ago, I think it was like Keg and Bottle, or somebody did maybe a pre-order, and I missed it. And I was like, well, I don't really know what the distribution is going to be like. I'm not going to fall over myself trying to get a bottle. I ended up ordering the Tincup 14 from a website. When I found out it was out, I Googled Tincup 14, someplace in California. I ordered it, and I saw the 2XO, and I said, okay, $100, let's grab this thing. So I didn't want to like buy into the hype at first. I wanted to see what happened, and I've heard mixed reviews about it, and I like mixed reviews. That's fun because it's like, you know, if everybody loves something, you're probably going to love it. I would say 9 times out of 10. And hearing mixed reviews is more exciting because you get to kind of make your own decision, even if you've heard the reviews. Whereas if you know, I wasn't able to avoid the reviews on this, is what I'm saying. So let's see. Huh. 104 proof. No age statement. But this is with Dixon's double barreling process. So if there's no age statement, I would imagine this is probably not the oldest thing in the world. That is a really interesting nose. Wow. This is very interesting. It's not like... It's not... Like, I'm not smelling this and going, wow, this is really fantastic stuff. But any double-barreled whiskey that comes out these days, toasted barrel, whatever, it's typically too savory, too much young wood, young oak. This has a little bit of that. A little bit of that kind of sharp, spicy wood. But there's a sweetness in here that a lot of these other double-barreled whiskeys don't quite get to. Like, it's almost like bubble gum or like strawberry sweetness. And those are notes that I typically associate with really, really young bourbon. I mean, like 2 to 3, maybe 4-year-old whiskeys oftentimes will have this super bright fruit and bubblegum note. A lot of young rye, too. But this doesn't feel young because of that note. Like, that note doesn't overtake it and make me go, oh, shit, this is really young. It's there. It's adding a different dimension to some of that, like, you know, slightly overdone, spicy, bright oak. But there's also a really nice amount of rye spice in here, like wintergreen rye spice. Yeah. Wintergreen rye, kind of the same rye you would get in like a Kentucky Owl rye, that kind of toothpaste flavor. There's a little bit of that spice in here, so I would imagine something is high rye maybe in this blend. And Well, is this called bourbon? It is. This is straight bourbon, so maybe there's some high rye bourbon. And then, yeah, some vanilla on the top. So this is a weird combination of things. I have not had a double-barreled bourbon in the last 2 years that really smells like this. It's not wowing me, but at least it's something different, you know? Wow, that is spicy. Wow, that's really spicy. I kind of like this stuff. Back end, I'm getting some coffee notes on the back end, which I like. I really like it. This is not the most balanced whiskey in the world. Actually, I would say it's punchy. You know, it feels like it's got something to prove. I hate to like personify whiskey in that way, but really, like, this feels like a whiskey that is trying to make a point. And that's kind of an interesting thought behind this, you know. Sometimes I can read into, or anybody, we can read into these things maybe a little bit too much, but coming from like the music world, there's always like a backstory to things. And to me, this feels kind of like what Dixon's doing, you know, kind of the Leaving Kentucky Owl thing, doing his own thing. And this is the first release, and it's in your face. It's punchy. It makes sense if I wanted to read into the situation maybe a little too much. But the true test is going to be comparing this to some other comparable things on the market. So similar bottle design, similar brand colors, actually. Got this Penelope Toasted. Now this Penelope is a heavy toast with a level 1 char. We'll try that. And we'll throw in a Peerless Double Oaked as well, which is another one of these double oaked products that kind of bucked a trend, at least when it came out, it bucked a trend. It avoided super sweet profiles like Woodford Double Oaked 1910, and it went for a more spicy cigar box type profile. Then a lot of other, actually tons of other double oaked MGP bourbons hit the market and kind of did what Peerless was doing. Not that Peerless was the first one to do this, but when all these other ones hit the market, it became a trend that everyone was making really young whiskey taste too oaky, too spicy, you know, too raw. So this is going to be a good comparison, I think. Copper Wolf has a signed bottle. Jeez. That's awesome. All right. So I've had a couple different Penelope Toasteds. My favorite was like a medium toast. This one's heavy. So this is definitely not my favorite Penelope Toasted I've had, but it's the only one I have left. And then obviously the Peerless. So this is what we're going to do right now. I'll start again with the 2XO and then work my way across. Jason, I'll get to this in a second because we'll see how this comparison goes first. David, I don't have the holiday toast from Lucky 7. I am actually pretty curious about that. John says, what does young oak taste like? That's a good question, John. So, you know, I would say the most common manifestation of young oak when you're talking about a double oaked product is that it's going to have a lot of what I would say like our pie crust notes, cinnamon, brown sugar, nutmeg, like these kinds of things. But it's really, really spicy on those notes. So, yeah, I'm going to go back and forth and see which one of these might be the best example. Yeah, they're all just a little bit different. But basically, if you've ever had Booker's, John, that to me, Booker's has like a really young oak profile. And that's similar to what you get when you double oak a really young MGP bourbon a lot of times. Like it basically tastes like when you walk into a Home Depot lumber section or a Lowe's lumber section. That kind of raw wood smell, that's what you get out of the glass. Yeah, Ash, definitely not a Kentucky Owl Batch 9 on our hands here. But I will say, what Dixon did with those things was so incredible that, you know, future releases of the 2XO stuff, I want to keep an eye on it. Okay. No, you have not missed the handy first sip. We're kind of going up in proof right now, DMC guy. Guy steal my lines here, says Jeb. That's funny. All right, so 2XO, here we go. Revisit this, and then we'll move across. This is getting to be a little bit more brown sugar and chocolate on the nose than it was a second ago. A second ago, I was really getting that bubble gum and strawberry thing. That's very spicy. I think, honestly, this thing drinks above 104 proof. And again, with the kind of bitter coffee on the back end. All right. So, proof-wise, yeah, we'll go to the Peerless next, which is 3 proof points higher, about 107. I think the Peerless might take it on the nose here. Wow, the Peerless. I have not tasted this bottle in probably 4 months, 5 months. This thing smells kind of like a Dusty in a weird way. I've never noticed that before. I would have a hard time even describing this. It tastes like you mixed chocolate syrup and like a really dark, like imagine maybe like a snow cone, like a grape snow cone syrup, but darker, kind of thicker, richer. I guess maybe like, you know, if you have Luxardo cherries, the juice that the cherries are in, if you mix that kind of juice, that consistency, but it's grape, plum, dark fruit, and you mix that with chocolate syrup, that's kind of what this Peerless Double Oak smells like on the nose. And the oak on here is really nice. Like it's not that young wood smell. Yeah, the 2XO kind of has that. It's just really, really nice stuff. All right, on the palate. That's not even a question. That's not even a question. Here's the thing. Peerless Double Oak is also not a super cheap bottle, and it's not the most available bottle either. So let's say availability is kind of the same here. Do you guys know the MSRP on Peerless Double Oak? I think it's around 80, 100, 120. Like it's something in that range. I can't remember because I remember trading for this, I think, secondary. So I didn't trade at a true like SRP value. So I'm not sure what it is. That's man, that's phenomenal stuff. Wow. Jeb says this curb stonks, the stonks meme, the 2XO. Yeah, I'm gonna agree here, and I actually wasn't expecting that. Like I didn't expect Peerless Double Oak to be so clearly better for me in terms of not only subjectively how much I like the flavors in the Peerless Double Oak, but also this is the thing about it. The 2XO, when you taste it on the palate, just do a little sip. From front to back, it goes a lot of places. It doesn't have like a clear development for me. Up front, I get bitter, I get sour, I get spicy, I get sweet, and it doesn't quite know which one it wants to go towards. By the time you get to the back end, it's super bitter with the coffee notes, which I like. And in the mid palate, it's just so damn spicy. And then there's that wintergreen toothpaste thing in there. It's all over the place. Yeah, the Peerless is just more singular, more dialed in. So it looks like Peerless Double Oaked is between 83 and 96. So for all intents and purposes, we'll say it's the same price as the 2XO, if not a little bit cheaper. And I'm going to take it over the 2XO. Like the Peerless Double Oak is like 10% too heavy-handed for me, but that's fine. I'll take that. And honestly, a little bit of water could do it some good. I'll try it in a second. On to the last one, which is kind of the hopeful one of the bunch because it's cheaper. The Penelope Toasted. These are pretty darn available at this point. Different levels of toast on here, which is great. Different char levels. So you have like some options with this. And they do vary pretty widely based on the ones that I've tried. So that's a good thing. And price point, I think 60 to 70 on these. The Penelope is definitely closer in profile to the 2XO than it is the Peerless. And usually I'm overwhelmed by Young Oak on the Penelope, but because these two are such flavor monsters over here, especially the Peerless, I'm going to the Penelope now, and all I'm getting is young bourbon. Just young, grainy MGP. That's not great. Didn't expect that. Ooh. That doesn't do it for me. That doesn't do it for me. No. Actually, like, it's not even that it's just not that great. I just think that's bad. Like, subjectively, for my palate, I just don't like that. I feel like I'm eating ash. Like, just the end of a campfire, and I'm just eating the ash. Oh, it's like making me sick to my stomach. Fucking charcoal. Sorry. Toshi, what's up, man? Evening cam and all. So I did not mean to go dark mode there. Sorry, everybody. Just opened a Turkey 101 12-year, one of the new ones from Japan. Damn good. Kind of went off the rails this week. Bought George T. Stagg 22 and Parker's Double Barrel. Blew my fantasy winnings. Damn. Let me know how those are, man. The GTS I've only heard great things about. And actually, I don't think I've heard anything about the new Parker's Heritage. So, I don't know if you're cracking them right away or not. But if you do, let me know what you think. And the Turkey 12-year, I think I had a chance to get one to drive down to Kentucky and get it for a decent price. But it just, to me, it wasn't worth a 6, 7, 8 hour round trip. But I'm glad to hear it's good. Honestly, Russell's 13 I'll stick with unless I get a really easy chance to get that Turkey 101 12-year. I love Russell's 13, so thank you for the super chat, Toshi. Sorry I missed it. DMC guy got a GTS today. Wow. Congrats on that. And John Cloud just picked up a Penelope toasted Char 1. A Penelope heavy toasted Char 1, which is exactly what I'm drinking. So, sorry about my reaction. That's just for me. John, you might enjoy it more than I do. I know a lot of people like these Penelope toasteds. Mine, it tastes like you're drinking young MGP, and then all of a sudden it just tastes like you're licking a grill. Like, there's no integration of the profile at all. Really kind of hard to believe just how segmented the whiskey is on the palate. The medium char that I had before, I really liked it, or the medium toast. But at this point, it's like, I don't even know if I can trust my own opinion, because I didn't think that this heavy toast was going to be quite this way. But that was really rough. Jeb, thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. Just because I like to make fun of Cam, everyone please go watch the Matt Madness stream from a few days ago. I give it 5 triangles. I need to get an instrument up here that I can play, for a super chat or something. I said that before, but everybody has one. It sounds like there's gong, cowbell, triangle. All of these are covered. So I gotta get like a weird exotic instrument, like a water phone or something. If you guys don't know what a water phone is, look up water phone on Google. It's kind of like the sound you hear in a lot of horror movies. You bow it with like a cello or a double bass bow. It's a strange instrument. John says, my Penelope Toasted doesn't have the black label. Yeah, they just recently changed the labels. I haven't had anything from the new label design. I would imagine it's pretty much the same stuff, though. Jeb, drain poured one. Yeah. Yeah, this one's wacky, man. Did I say... Did it sound like I said that? I definitely said eating ash. Jay, that skinny girl... Man, Jay, you come in with all the zingers. I love it. Yeah, John, so it's the same thing that you said. Char 1, toast heavy. Ooh, Daniel found George T. Stagg and William LaRue for 2022 for $30 per 2 ounces. Dude. To me, that's like, I'm going to skip dinner tonight or for 2 nights, save a little bit of money, go take that over to the bar. Yeah, that's a great price. Flavor monsters. Did I say that? Or did somebody say that? Or is Joe just kind of speaking more broadly? Sorry if I missed something. Let me read this. So Joe says flavor monsters is an interesting term. There's a wine critic, Robert Parker, who gets fooled by really big Syrah and Shiraz wines that people refer to as fruit bombs. Zach Jones coming in. Yeah, you're seeing the mental play here, you know. The strategic mental chess move against Dan Shook. No, Matt just beat my ass fair and square. Durrell says the toasted Penelope goes well with Coke. Interesting. Yeah, Toshi, let me know, man. Richie, I do like this. I actually have never had a barrel pick of Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. But like just the regular one that I've had is great. All right. Yeah, Travis says bongo. I could just bring up some bongos. That's easy. That's easy stuff. Oh, Brian says a Cuica. I don't own a Cuica. That's a great call. Man, what an obscure instrument. Good for you, Brian. Like even a lot of drummers don't know what a Cuica is, you know? Oh no, John. I'm sorry. I said flavor monster. Man, I don't even remember. God, Joe. Get a child's xylophone. You mean a Cameron-sized xylophone. Okay. So, clear winner of the bunch here is Peerless Double Oak. Penelope toasted. I like what Penelope's doing. At this point, it seems to me that things haven't really advanced. Like, Penelope's found their lane. Let me know what you guys think about this, if I'm speaking out of turn here. They seem like great people. Really cool brand, cool story, great marketing. And when they came out, we were all very excited. I think everybody. And since then, my excitement has kind of waned because it just seems like a lot of young whiskey that's not getting older. That yes, they sourced some light whiskey. The architects, to me, still just aren't doing it. And I'm not a big French oak person anyways. I don't know. Zach says, I looked up water phone. Now my computer has a virus. I'm sorry, Zach. So, yeah, one more sip of the 2XO. The 2XO is so much better than the Penelope, though. Unfortunately, even though the Penelope is the cheapest one, it is doing the worst in this particular tasting, so 2XO is fine. I wouldn't go out and buy this, though. If I'm you guys, anybody out there that doesn't own a bottle of 2XO Phoenix Blend, I'm not going to go pick one up. I'm sorry. I just don't think it's quite worth that price tag. Even if we want to support Dixon after Kentucky out, it's, buy the first release, try it. But now that there are enough reviews out there with mixed feelings, I can't recommend it. But if you have the money to spend, it's not going to break the bank. And you want to try it, you're not going to be angry. You just might not be stoked about it. Andrew, I don't know. That's interesting. That seems like a company that could... Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, actually. But that's a good point. All right, so Tommy says, how are those compared to the Old Forester King Ranch? Well, let me leave these out and see. So let's get into that. I also have the Old Forester 117 series, the Warehouse K, which is my least favorite of the 117 series. It's not bad, it's just my least favorite. But I thought, let's see if the King Ranch can compare to what I consider to be the low end of the 117 series, if it could jump into that series. Because we are talking about, with the King Ranch, 105 proof. So it's not a low proof whiskey. The Daily Annual Weekly says, nothing upsets me more than a tambourine on hi-hats. Yeah, I would say 80% of the time that's overdone or not done well. But there are some guys that you see that really know how to orchestrate with it, They have great left foot independence, and they can do some really, really cool stuff in the midst of doing I don't want to say stuff that's unrelated, but just the places that they can place that within certain grooves is really cool. But yeah, I think a lot of the time it's just this kind of stock flashy thing that people do, or it's just kind of poserish sometimes, actually. Jeb, can we do a giveaway for a 2/3 open bottle of 2XO? No, we can't. I will say my number one rule is, only give away whiskey that I'm going to be sad to see go. Share the whiskey. And I have a backup Tincup 14, and if the Tincup 14 was going to be badass, I was just going to say, okay, I'm just going to give this away today and do a kind of a pop-up giveaway, but I'm not going to do it because I don't think it's quite there. Huh. So now I'm on to the Old Forester King Ranch, 105 proof, no age statement. A proprietary batch using heavily charred barrels filtered through King Ranch mesquite charcoal. So some charcoal filtering, heavily charred barrels. Smells nice. It smells like solid Old Forester, not too young. And it has a little bit of that 1910 sweetness to it, but if 1910, if that level of sweetness is 100, this has 35% of that, And I like that because the 1910 is just a really sweet bourbon. And I would say where this profile is mostly is we're in dark fruit territory, that kind of medicinal cherry, sort of bready, but yeah, a little bit of breadiness in here. Still a little bit of banana like you would get from an Old Forester product. But mostly, in my mind, living in dark fruit land, and there's something extra peppery about it, like black pepper, and that might be that charcoal filtering. Or no, that might be the heavily charred barrels. It could be a combination. But we've got this mesquite charcoal influence, which to me could overtake it possibly, and I don't think it is. Huh. I like that. I think I like that. It's a little disjunct. The spice hits you in a weird spot. Like when you sip it and it starts to ramp up, the pop of spice is in a weird spot that you don't expect, and it falls off a little bit soon for me. But I like it. I think the flavor profile is really nice. Travis says, still worth doing a pop-up giveaway. Most won't see some of the things you get. Do you guys want to do it? I mean, I'm not going to be on for I don't know. The maximum I'll be on from this point forward is another hour, but I don't think it's going to last that long. I mean, we could do a pop-up giveaway if you guys want for a Tincup 14. Let me know in the chat. Let me just see. Give me yeses or nos on that, and we can make it happen. But it's not a whiskey that I'm like super thrilled about, so I wouldn't want you guys. Like, I love that you contribute money to the channel through super chats, but I don't want you to just. I don't want to be only, having you contribute money for the chance to win a bourbon that's just okay. So just let me know what you think. But thank you, Travis, for pointing that out. I just want to make sure I kind of go with the consensus on that one. So Scott says, I hope it's better than Long Branch. I've never had Long Branch, so I can't speak to it. But the fact that this is 105 proof is actually like kind of exciting. I think Long Branch is very low. Yeah, this is just an extra peppery, not like cinnamon spice, like extra black pepper Old Forester. And the back end, I think that's where I'm getting the mesquite charcoal. Yeah, it's got that kind of really bittersweet dark chocolate on the back. Jeb says, people dogged it saying it's not 1920, but it's not supposed to be. Yeah, it's not supposed to be. I think 1920 is overrated, personally. I've always, in the beginning, I really didn't like 1910. Or 1920. I thought it was just too hot. Eventually, I kind of grew past that, but I never saw the hype. Like, I've owned one bottle of 1920 ever, I'm not going through that stuff. Whereas with Rare Breed, I think I've owned like 3 or 4 bottles of Rare Breed. So, Ashton, I have the extra old, but I don't have the extra old. The extra old is good. I really like it. I would love to try it at a little bit higher proof, but. All right, the giveaway. It sounds like we're not going to do the pop-up giveaway for the Tincup 14, but the next live stream I do, I would like to do a giveaway for a nice bottle since I kind of missed the 2-year anniversary live stream. Things got busy, then I got sick and all that stuff. So I'd like to do a giveaway for like a pretty big bottle, something that I am excited to give away. So just keep an eye out for that. I would imagine maybe that'll be next week's live stream. Let me make sure that I'm pretty sure I'm able to go live next week. Yeah, the 12th. I have the day off work, so that's nice. So I will definitely be live that day. Cool. Jeb says, I've gone through 2 bottles of King Ranch. Just a fun pour. Yeah, so King Ranch next to the Peerless Double Oak, which kind of won that last flight. Peerless is really, it's almost in like a rubber territory. It's got a little bit of a rubbery note to it, which in the comparison to the other toasted bourbons I didn't get, but compared to the sweetness of that Old Forester, the rubber note is really standing out. That's a little weird. And then to the King Ranch. King Ranch is just solid. I like it. I like it. It's not worth some crazy secondary price. I think I remember in the beginning it going for like $250 a bottle or something on the secondary market. That's so silly. But this thing at $60, I think is MSRP maybe. That's super, super good. What is up, Roy? Northwest Bourbon. DC says, give away a King of Kentucky. No? I've got like this much left of mine. If it lasts me one full year, if I get it to Valentine's Day, it would have lasted a full year. And that seems like a good amount of time for a bottle like that to last. And I've even been able to share that King of Kentucky. Probably like 5 ounces of it I've been able to share with people. So it's a great bottle. Okay. You know, before I go on to the Bourbon Junkies backbone pick, I want to do a quick comparison. I don't know if the Warehouse K is going to be the best comparison to the King Ranch. This is 5 proof points higher. Actually, it's kind of close. But let me check out. I don't know, what's a good one? 1910, 1920. What do you guys think? What would be a comparison to the King Ranch that would be interesting to do? Especially those of you that have tried the King Ranch. I'd love to hear from you. All right, I'm going to clear some space here. Northwest says 100. So maybe you mean like Old Forester 100? I think mine is in the basement. Yeah, Jeb says you need something with mesquite charcoal. I think maybe yes, Jeb, but and maybe doing a comparison to that would be more fair. But at the same time, I'm curious what the effect of the mesquite charcoal actually is on the whiskey itself, because it's not like some big obvious thing. I mean, there's the extra pepper notes. But I don't know. I'm gonna try this Warehouse K. Richie says, Cam, pricing is a great discussion for another time, but what's a great price point for most whiskey drinkers? I think 40 to 50. Yeah, I think, pricing has increased certainly over the last couple of years. In my mind, obviously the answer is it depends on the situation. Context is important, but I would say this, like if you're a whiskey enthusiast at any level, like you're not the person that's just buying a handle of Early Times or Kessler's or I don't know, whatever kind of bottom shelf thing, just to drink, like drinking to drink. I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to the people that have some interest in learning about whiskey, even if it's at a super slow pace, or they know I only want my knowledge to be like a cursory understanding of the subject, and that's good enough for me. I would say $40 is kind of like the cost of entry, 30 is great. Like you can get Woodford, you can get Elijah Craig. You're above some of these at that price point, Buffalo Trace. But like if you want to get into something that's maybe just a little bit more special, that's not just the base offering from a certain distillery, yeah, I think you're right. Like $40 to $50 is where you're at. And like here's the thing, guys. I'm not here to judge anybody on how much they drink. I go through phases, we all do, of like we drink a little too much this week, this night, this month, drink not so much, take a dry month, a dry week, whatever. But, like, we can all agree that there is a certain level of drinking too much. And, a lot of people would complain, like, I don't want to spend $40 on a bottle, even though I want to get into it and I'm interested, but I don't want to spend $40 on a bottle. And it's like, then maybe you're drinking a little too much. Like, I think a $40 bottle or any bottle should be able to last you a couple weeks, like 2 weeks, let's say, or a week and a half. You don't want to be pounding whiskey every day. You don't want to drink 4 or 5 ounces of whiskey every day. I'm not here to judge. It's just the simple fact of the matter. That's why when I see people filling up their glasses all the way to the rim, that's funny, but it's also like objectively irresponsible. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter. And I'm not here to I'm not here to cast judgment, but when it comes to money, I think like any hobby costs money. It's why we have hobbies. You invest time, you invest money in these things. And I don't know, not to go on a rant, sorry about that, but there is a certain level that's too much or drinking too fast where then you do have to spend money to keep up with it. That's not great. Sorry about that. Marshall, what is your next sip along? Marshall, I actually don't know what the bottle's going to be. It's not going to be next week. It'll be the week after, unless I do like a pop-up on like a Sunday. But usually I try to do them on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be in 12 days from now. And I haven't made a decision yet. So I've got to think about that. Yeah, sorry. Again, guys, I'm not here to cast judgment on anybody. Keith says 4 or 5 ounces. Yeah, I would never do that. I don't know if that's sarcasm or not, Keith. I certainly will drink 4 to 5 ounces in a sitting. That's absolutely like, I'll drink 1, I'll drink 5 on live stream. Sometimes I drink way too much. It happens. But, you know, all I'm saying is like some people will move through these bottles in 2 days. And then, of course, like $50 bottles become cost prohibitive after a while. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, and sometimes you have to budget. Absolutely. It really just depends on your financial situation, what you want to get out of exploring whiskey. Like, there are so many factors. But I'm just saying more specifically, I think, like, to really... Yeah, I would say $40 to $50 is reasonable. Yeah, Keith, just kidding around. Nick, I'm not a big Makers fan, so to me, like, the wood finishing series is the best thing they do. I have some favorites. I'm just not a big fan, so I'm not the person to kind of give opinions. The BRT02 with the French oak is darker. BRT01 is really bright, and usually I'm not a French oak person, but I actually think I enjoyed the BRT02 more. If I remember, I think I tasted it a few weeks ago on a stream. Yeah, Daniel, but that's understandable. You know what? Speaking of drinking BTAC stuff, speaking of that, I am going to drink some Thomas H. Handy in just a second. Got some more stuff to get through, but the flight that Toshi sent me and Matt last week for the Very Merry Matt Madness stream, we had 2 ounces of each of those whiskeys. There were 6 pours. And I thought I actually had my, what do they call those things? Not spit cup, spittoon. I ordered like a wine spittoon because tasting wine and I am spitting wine as I'm tasting it. You know, as I'm trying to kind of learn more about it right now. I'm trying to not drink as much. But on that stream, I was like, well, I'll spit some of these and then I'll sip some of these. And then I started tasting and smelling these things. And it was clear they were all insane whiskeys. So I ended up spitting nothing from the flight. I only did 1 ounce of all 6 pours. Guys, I was shit-faced at the end of Very Merry Matt Madness. Like, the next day, I was hungover. I was a mess. So, Toshi, that's your fault, man. I still have 1 ounce of each left. But holy crap. I did not expect that. They were all really high proof, though. Yeah, Kilco, man, this is a good comment. That's an important rant to have. I like to think take care of yourself when it comes to alcohol, and people in this community want us all to be healthy and safe. I agree, you know. Like, of course there's shenanigans. Of course there's bottle chugs and getting hammered sometimes and hanging out with your friends. Like, of course. We want to have fun, you know. But, yeah, at some point, it just verges on irresponsibility. And then if you have people that you're answering to, like, or responsible for, kids, wife, husband, family, you know, then it starts to impact those things, and that's when it's not good. Toshi says, dude, I did 1 ounce of each too and tasted along with you. I was also definitely quite buzzed. And Toshi, I don't know if I remember, I think I had a weird food day. Like, I didn't have a lot of carbs in my belly, so schlammered. Sarah woke up the next day and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I am so hungover. Yeah, Keith, I agree. I'm down. I've been down the whiskey rabbit hole. Now I'm down all the, like, these wine video rabbit holes, and I stay up too late doing it. And you want to sip along, and I know. Oh my god. Oh my god, Copper Wolf. That's tragic, man. Let me do this comparison real quick. I haven't tasted anything in quite a while. We're losing viewers. Sorry about that. All right, King Ranch here. An extra peppery, dark and Coffee Old Forester, and now the 117 series, Warehouse K barrels. Oh, much brighter. More alcohol forward, brighter. I'm actually getting like some like apple pear type notes out of the Warehouse K. Yeah, so basically, to me on the nose, Warehouse K seems like a higher proof Old Forester 100, and the King Ranch smells like a higher proof 1910. So if you guys haven't had the chance to try either of these, just imagine that. Higher proof 1910 and spicier, higher proof 100. Warehouse K sharp. King Ranch. Oh, that's not even close. King Ranch smacks the living crap out of Warehouse K. That is not even a competition. Wow. Wow. Marshall says, some may be slipping off the Dan and Julie stream. Yeah. Yep, that always happens around 9 p.m. And for those of you who are slipping off or going back and forth, whatever, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for jumping back and forth, whatever you're doing. Appreciate you hanging out. For all of you still hanging out or watching the replay, please hit the like button. We've got 80 in chat right now, which is fantastic. So, let's get 80 likes. We've had up to like 90 or so tonight, which is really cool. Yeah, Jeb. Warehouse K was my least favorite. So the fact that the King Ranch, in my mind, is competing with some of the 117 series, like that's a good sign in my book. Yeah, I'm not a fan of makers in general. The cask strength, is good as far as makers is concerned, but it's just not my thing. Ashton, here was the flight last Friday. And guys, I will get to tasting more whiskey in just a second. Sorry for all the yapping. In the flight, we had... Oh, God, what was the first pour? Jeez Louise. Oh, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof Batch 12, I think is what it was. The 136 proof Pirate bottle. Second was the Rabbit Hole 16-year Nevalier or Nevalier. I don't know how to say it. The 16-year finished in New French Oak. Third pour, William LaRue Weller 2016. Fourth pour, George T. Stagg 2009, which was maybe the best whiskey I've ever had. Maybe. Fifth bottle was... Oh, it was a rye. It was funky. It was a Willet 7-year rye. And the last one was King of Kentucky, I believe 2021. Just the craziest shit on planet Earth. I think the total secondary value of the flight was, like, of the bottles in the flight was like $9,000 or something. Adam, so you're saying Old Force will be okay without Jackie? I mean, I think I have no idea what the inner workings of any of these companies are like. So I have no idea what any one person is impacting across the board. I would imagine they're going to be fine, I think a lot of these companies are going to be fine without certain people. You just don't know what kind of impact, like, Jackie had there or who else was blending and tasting. Like, I'm not sure. So, I mean, I'm not the person to speak to that. But all I can speak to is the fact that King Ranch is really damn good in my book. Mark says, compare the King Ranch to a 1915 blend. Proof is very close. I'll have to do that. I don't have one of those readily available right now. So, yeah, Daniel, it's just not my jam. Yeah, Nick, the Pumpernickel rye that's coming out right now is unfortunately stuff from the 53-gallon barrels, not the 30 gallons. So it's all tasting younger right now. Just give it a little more time. I still have some old single barrels from the 30 gallons, and those are just insane bottles. All right. Next up, what are we doing? I need more glasses. I'm running through all my glasses right now. Give me 1 second. Okay. I grabbed 3 just in case, but I think technically I only have 2 more things here to taste. But the table is whittling down to nothing. Yeah, Keith, it was tricky. I mean, part of it is like, this is what's cool about it, is there's too much whiskey in the world to ever know all of it, or even know all the brands, or even possible brands. So when you're tasting stuff like that, I think what was really, there were a couple of really cool moments in that flight that didn't get talked about on the stream, but one of those moments was when Matt and I, both off the nose, in our heads, had determined that number 2 was the Parker's Heritage Heavy Char Wheat 11 year. I've never even tasted that bottle, but after smelling it and thinking like, okay, this is what it could be, and the first question being, is it a wheat whiskey bourbon or a rye? And going, this smells like a wheat whiskey. So because of that, I was like, what wheat whiskey would make sense given the color, given the flavor profile, the supposed proof? I thought, well, it's probably the Parker's Heritage, and I've never even had that bottle. So part of what comes up in these tasting competitions is like just knowing what's out there and what it could be, although like that wasn't the right answer. Matt and I were on the same page with that, and then I started hedging against that throughout my next guesses on the palate and on the bottle guess. But I just thought that was a really cool moment, you know? Trev, you're right. I am looking exceptionally more nerdy. I'm wearing this this very plain sweater because Sarah bought this for me for Christmas, and I really like it. And usually I just wear black t-shirts on live streams, so. Let's see. Mike says, based on the Hidden Barn debacle, perhaps Old Forester won't miss a beat. I've got to be honest with you, Mike. I don't think it was a debacle. I think it was just a shock to everybody's system. You know, this is one thing about it, too. It's like there was this weird cult thing about Jackie along the way. And it was really strange to me because, like, you know, how do I know Jackie Zykan? Like, through all of this. Well, I know her from the documentary she was on, the Neat documentary, I think is which one it was. Excuse me, still got that lingering COVID cough. I know her from the documentary. I know her from the 117 series. I've seen some videos or whatever. But like, other than that, like, I don't know her. I don't know anything about her. And everybody was talking as if they personally knew her, and they were disappointed. Like, there was just this weird, I don't know, personal insertion from everybody, enthusiasts, Instagrammers. It just felt really weird to me, the whole thing. Like, and I like the taste of a lot of craft whiskey, pot stilled, heirloom grains. Do I drink it all the time? No, but I like it. I come from, drinking a lot of scotch and stuff like that. And you just kind of have to appreciate a lot of different flavor profiles for what they are. And just because it didn't taste like Old Forester or like a legacy Kentucky distillery, I think people like freaked out. I don't know. I just thought the whole thing was so weird. And nobody even actually knows the full impact of what any one person has on these products. Like, and if they do, then they know more than a lot of people. Because I don't think most people know those things. Yeah, John, the fact that the proof 1 point high and 1 point low, that was hilarious. So I'm just reading the chat, guys. Keith says, yeah, she was fantastic for marketing. Persona, personality made her very likable. Yeah, of course. And I'm sure she's great at her job. Yeah. But, if you're going to partner with the Neely family distillery, you got to know what that profile is like. And she probably did. And she probably likes that profile. And I think a lot of people don't like that profile. Because that is definitely going to be a shock to a lot of people's systems. So in some ways, I thought it was kind of funny because people like freaked out and like went to secondary because of FOMO. They're like, I have to get this bottle, and they get it and they didn't like it. And that kind of like warms my heart, you know, because it just shows how silly some of this stuff is. Like, people were personally offended that they didn't like that bottle. I don't know. Or you see people freaking out and getting online and trying to buy you guys see this? The John J. Bowmans that just came out with the green label. It's the same old John J. Bowman as it's always been. People were selling it for $180 on secondary because it has a new label and people thought it was special. Like, that is the most representative thing about whiskey FOMO right now. And those people deserve to pay that money for that if they got duped into it. Because take a second and Google the damn thing and find out that it's not a $200 bottle. Come on. You know? Yeah, exactly, Daniel. God. Sorry. Soapbox time. All right. Let's go to the Bourbon Junkies pick, and then we'll go to the Thomas Handy, and then we'll wrap the stream. 84 in chat. Thank you guys for being here. Hit that like button. Richie says, Cam, do you need a test negative to kiss your wife? I don't know. Does anybody know anymore? Toshi says, do your research, people. Yeah, exactly. You're going to drop money? You're going to drop that much money on a bottle. You should know what you're buying, you know? unless like you legitimately, like, that amount of money doesn't mean anything to you, and that's totally cool. Then do whatever you want with your money. But if it's a consequential amount of money, you should know that you're buying regular John J. Bowman, you know? Whew. All right, so Bourbon Junkies Backbone just arrived a day or two ago. Yeah, it might have been yesterday. The color on this is very dark. I don't know if you can see this. It's not like the darkest whiskey in the world or like, you know, dusty granddad dark, but it is a very dark color. Spilled a little bit. And on the nose, that comes through. This is a super dark profile. Wipe up a little bit of the whiskey spillage here. So last week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, I tasted Matt Porter ADHD Whiskey's Backbone single barrel pick, Slippin' Jimmy. And that one was a really solid MGP profile. Super fruity, sweet, balanced. This is extremely dark, almost rubbery on the Bourbon Junkies pick, like bordering on that charred, umami, savory kind of note. But I think a lot of people are going to really like this whiskey. It smells like if you get like a fillet. There's a fillet that I got. This is gonna sound so pretentious. I'm sorry in advance. My buddy and I went to this place, the Capitol Grill in Indiana, last month, or about, I don't know, a month and a half ago. We were at a conference. We went to this place. We were like, let's go have a nice meal, kind of celebrate the end of the conference, this percussion event that we were at. And so he got this porcini crusted fillet, and the crust on it was out of this world. And this whiskey smells like that kind of like mushroom, like balsamic, burnt crust on that fillet. It has that kind of a note to it. But it's a little heavy-handed. It's a little just bitter, you know, just a bit. Whoa. Oh my God, that's good. Holy shit. Okay, so stats on this. Let me show you guys. Get this thing to focus. There we go. So you can see 123.6 proof, 61.8% ABV, 135 bottle yield from this barrel. That's a pretty low yield for this, right? But interestingly enough, Matt actually had a lower yield. He had the shorter barrel, and profile-wise, you wouldn't really expect that. So, you got the little art on the back, little sticker action. This is an 8.5-year pick, from what I understand. This is crazy. This reminds me of old school MGP. Again, 10% too much bitterness on those dark notes. But otherwise, this is all dark fruit, dark chocolate, signature MGP kind of herbal spice. And what's the standout part about the whiskey is the palate. The minute it hits your mouth, it takes over, and it just ramps up the whole time. That's so good. That's so good. So this is going to be a fun comparison to Matt's pick of the Backbone. I'm going to get that video out. Scott, 8.5 years or so. I think I have MGP fatigue, says Jeb. I can't bring myself to buy more. Yeah, I'm only buying more if it's from people that I trust who did picks. That's really the only thing. Or like a super special bottle. But just like average, like, you know, like Penelope type stuff, 5-6 year. I'm not going there anymore. I just have too much of it. Michael, I don't know Charles Mulligan's. I'm in India, well, less than I used to be, but I used to be there quite a bit. But like never hitting up nice steakhouses when I'm there. It's never been like that. I've been to a few different spots. Still never been to St. Elmo's somehow. But yeah, we were just like literally wandering around like, okay, let's go eat. And then we were going to go somewhere else first. I can't remember what it was called. And then we just saw Capitol Grill and it's like, that's a safe bet. Let's go there. And it was great, you know? Yeah, Richie, I agree. Derek says, if Dixon went to a craft place for barrels and didn't blend his two-zone profile, it'd be disappointing. Perhaps Old Forester was never... Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Mike B, this is a interesting comment. Seems like there's a lot of old 15-year plus MGP floating around at the minute. Yeah, I know. And none of it has been excellent. It's all just been fine, in my opinion. Although, the one I'm the most curious about are the Rebecca Creek single barrels that just dropped. Like 130, 132 proof MGP. 16 years, right? That I'm very curious of. I'll never own one. I'm not going to shell out $500 on secondary, but interesting. Nick, check out the video description. These are the Stolzle, or I think that's how you say it, Stolzle Lausitz, you know, Whisky Nosing Glass, whatever. It's the first one that I listed in the description of the video. Oh, Keith, here you go. This is what I was just saying. Rebecca Creek 16. I would have bought it at $230. Full disclosure, would have totally paid that for it, but to each their own, you know. I mean, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money on a bottle. Okay. All right. So the Junkies Backbone pick is fantastic. It's a little, again, just a little bit too bitter and dark for me. But I can absolutely see why in a lineup of barrel samples, you would pick this sample because it is a standout kind of profile. Oh my God, that's good. I can't wait to compare that to Matt's. Okay. Let's check out Thomas Handy. So I got to say, we got an ounce left. That's good. Enough to shoot a review. I want to say thank you to Young Pei Chang, YPC, as he's known in some areas. I don't think he's hanging out tonight, but he sent me this sample of Thomas H. Handy 2022. 130.9 proof or 65.45. Where am I from now? 65.45% ABV. Distilled spring 2016. So this is like just over 6 years old. Rye from Buffalo Trace Cask Strength. Amy, you're right. I'm putting that on the screen. Man. Okay. So I guessed Glass 5 in A Very Merry Matt Madness, I guessed was Thomas Handy. And it ended up being Willet 7-Year Rye. As I smell the Thomas Handy now, I should have been able to make that distinction. Like, at the time, I thought I had a leg up on Matt with that bottle guess. And then he ended up guessing the same damn thing. And he guessed Thomas Handy. The fact that Matt and I, like, for the first round, we literally tied every single answer, that was crazy to me. And then my proofometer was just not right in the second round on the palate. I was so messed up by the fact that they were all such high proofs that I was just underselling all of the bottles on proof. And Glass 5 really stood out the entire time. I could tell it was a rye. And I thought Handy, because YPC sent this sample, and I had tasted it the night before. And I was like, oh, that tastes just like the Handy I had last night. That's what she said. Sorry. It tasted the exact same to me in the moment. But in reality, in my head, when I first smelled it, I was like, that smells like dill pickles. I should have known. Like, yes, MGP rye, but Willet in particular is super, super dill forward. And I should have known. I should have been able to call that. And so that does bother me. But based on everything I tasted up to that point, I wouldn't have expected it to be a Willet 7-year rye. I would have expected that to be a 4-year small batch. And with everything else that I imagined was in the flight at that point, I couldn't imagine a bottle like that being there. I would have thought it would be Thomas Handy because Toshi Bake was sending ridiculous samples the entire time. So Toshi, here we go. I wonder how you'd think the Willet 7 rye was in the flight last week compares to the Handy, similar age and proof. Well, let's do it, man. I've got it over here. Okay. So I have an ounce of this left, but this is not a bottle that I'm going to review, so I can just go ahead and not worry about taking too much of it right now. They're real close. They are close. Nick, Thomas Handy mash. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the proportions of the mash bill. It's the same mash bill as Saz Rye, though. Like Baby Saz, I think. I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to remember the family tree of Buffalo Trace mash bills. Is E.H. Taylor's Straight Rye the same mash as Sazerac 18, and Handy? I think they're all the same, and I think the Van Winkle Rye is a different mash bill. Ben has a 105 proof Rebecca Creek 16, so there was like, so that means there was a really wide range of proofs in, because I was seeing 131.9 like earlier today on a secondary page. Yeah, I would imagine that maybe the higher proof ones are better. Because that, to me, sounds like a lot of the other really old MGP that's coming out right now, like Remus Gatsby, where it's just flat. I think it's... I can't remember. I think it is single barrel, maybe. I can't remember, honestly. There's a range of proofs. So it's either really small batches or single barrels, but there are different proofs, I believe. Okay. Let me get into this comparison now. No, I think I'm going to stick with Eagle Rare, but maybe I'll add a second warm-up whiskey in the 105 proof range or 110 so that I have two points of reference, or maybe even 3. Eagle Rare, maybe something that's like 100, and maybe something that's like rare breed, you know? So the 7-year is a single barrel right here for this Willet. All right. Toshi, remind me of the proof, please, on the Willet if you have it available to you. I think I'm going to start with the Willet because I think it's probably going to be lower proof. Huh. So what's crazy about doing both of these ryes side by side, Thomas Handy, 7-year Willet. 7-year Willet's 127 proof. Wow. That makes sense because I was going to say they seem very close in proof on the nose. My nose is already acclimating to just the insane rye spice coming through here, so I almost need like a control bourbon. So I'll use, I don't know. I'll use Old Forester King Ranch. I believe that's what that one is. As a control to kind of reacclimate my nose. Let's start with the Willet then. Tons of like lemon meringue. Yeah, there's a lot of dill in here. Yeah, there's a lot of dill in here. So dill, lemon, just straight up mint leaf. Bright vanillas and menthol. Not a lot of like not a lot of fruitiness coming through on the Willet rye. Again, this is a 7-year. Yeah, but it's so the Willet 7-year is extremely aromatic. It jumps out of the glass. It is just, it's not a shy whiskey whatsoever. And now on to the Thomas Handy 2022. Excuse me. Super reserved on the nose. If I didn't know any better, I would guess that this is like 15 proof points lower. And it's actually 3 proof points higher. Wow. So, very obvious young notes on the Thomas Handy. You can smell corn grain. You can smell honey. Buffalo Trace, so you're going to get some honey notes. But the honey is obviously coming from the corn grain, right? That's a signature of all of their bourbon. And in this case, we have a rye. There's going to be still a decent percentage of corn in there. So that lets me know that the grain notes are really active in here. They're really not integrated very well. It's coming across young. Honey, corn. You're getting, what would I classify that as? Like spearmint, I think, on here. Yeah. And anise, kind of like a licorice note. So it's a little bit sweeter, a little bit tamer, but the youth is, like, the fact of the matter is this is a $700 bottle on secondary. Both of these are probably around $700 on secondary. Which is crazy to me. Retail on the Handy is $100. I don't know what retail is on the Willet 7-year. But neither one of these like blow me away. But I think in terms of just impressing me on the nose, the Willet is definitely doing better, doing more for me. Now here's the thing, the Toshi, I see your comment about the Handy being lower proof, seeming lower proof. To me, the proof on the Handy is in the... Never mind. The proof on the Thomas H. Handy, it comes off as just pure ethanol out of the glass. It's not like the flavors are hitting me really strong and singeing, you know, like crawling up my nose. It's just like, here's the whiskey flavor, and the ethanol profile or component is like separate from the flavors. And the flavors are hitting me, and then the ethanol is just like kicking it from behind, or like almost like a different, it's just a different part of the sensation as I smell the whiskey, whereas like the Willet is completely integrated. So the flavors, the high ethanol content of the Willet, 127 high alcohol content, is what I should say, of the Willet at 127 proof, that is working to push the flavors forward, and the flavors are what's crawling up my nose. Whereas the Handy, it's like the flavors are muted sort of and sweeter, and then the ethanol hits me separately. That's how I would say. Scott, no, I would not pay $500 for a 9-year Willet store pick. No. I don't care if it's bourbon or rye. I would not pay it. Now, if it would be, let's say it's a 12-year pick, Willet bourbon, the one that Toshi sent me, that would twist my arm, you know. Huh. All right, so I'm gonna taste the Handy first, because it is higher proof, but it has a more muted profile. So let's go there. Woo, soap. That's a soapy ass palate. It redeems itself halfway through with some sweetness and a lot of honey. Man, I've never been impressed by Thomas Handy, and I keep wanting to. What I'm confused by is whether or not there's a batch out there, like a certain vintage of Thomas Handy that's exceptionally good that I just haven't tried, and maybe that's the one that makes everybody go, wow, I look forward to this every year, and they're hoping for that kind of a profile. But this one, it's not a bad whiskey. It's just like, I don't understand how it's in the antique collection as compared to the other ones, you know? Yeah, I'm thinking of the other 4 in the antique collection, and this one to me is the clear, you know, it's just, it's not good as compared to those. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. I don't know. But I think that's why secondary price is lower than the other bottles in the collection. Okay. Sim S says, have you ever tried the Paul Sutton Bourbon Cash Bank? No, I've never even heard of it, actually. Yeah, straggler. That's a good word for it, John. Straggler. It's an outsider for the antique collection, you know? Not on par. Yeah. These are all good ways of putting it. Amy says, would be fun to do a blind with Cam, drinking and giving notes, and the first person in chat to guess the bottle wins something. Amy, that sounds interesting. How would that work? Well, would I be the one to probably like select some bottles? First person to guess the bottle wins something. So I would probably select the bottles and then just not show them and give notes and taste. John's killing it. Andrew too. There we go. Outlier. That's the word. That's actually the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of. The outlier. Nick, there you go. That's a deep cut. Okay, Willet 7-year rye now. 127 proof single barrel. Cool. So yeah. All the stuff I talked about here, the lemon meringue, the mint leaf, dill pickle, Actually, not dill. It's just, yeah, just like dill spice almost, or seasoning, or, you know, something along those lines. Bright vanilla. And I'm actually getting a little hint of a note that somebody has taught me along the way when we talk about certain things in the chat sometimes. This one has come up a few times. A popsicle stick. When you finish a popsicle and you have that wooden stick underneath, you guys probably all know that taste from childhood, right? That note is on the nose of the Willet 7-year. Wow. That is intense on the palate. Whew. Man. There's some good honey in this too. And the honey note in the Willet 7-year is the reason I thought this was Thomas Handy. On the palate. Yeah. I'm going to taste the Handy right away after this to see if the palate comparison is even somewhat close. No, it's not that close. Actually, right there in the mid palate into the back. I could see why I mistook this Willet for Handy, but I hope I never make this mistake again. Huh. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of either of these, but maybe this style of rye, which are both different styles, maybe these are both just not quite my cup of tea. I like a really sweet rye, unfortunately. And I do drink some really spicy dill-forward, mint-forward ryes, but these two are just very extreme examples, I think. And I don't know, maybe it's just with time, or maybe with drinking more of these more regularly, I would be into it, but, you know. So many Handy jokes tonight, guys. I'm sorry, Mom, if you're watching. Amy, this is actually probably a really measured way of putting this. Like, I think I feel the same way. Number one, I'm so grateful that Young sent these along. And secondly, I think $100, I think this is probably worth $100, you know? But I would never go over $100 for this bottle. It's just not there for me. But it's cool to taste it. You know, one thing that would be interesting is to taste like a 12-year version of this. They have Sazerac 18, and I love Saz 18. The one vintage that I've ever tried, which was at a bar just down the street from my house. Recently, I was able to get 2 different pours of it. I think it was the 2021. It was so good. I loved it, and it's low proof. It's like a chocolate. It's like a minty chocolate, you know? Great stuff, very delicate, very sweet. I would love to taste the difference. Like, Saz is 90 proof, Handy is 130. Let's get a 12-year, 110 proof Buffalo Trace rye. What does that taste like? You know, that interests me maybe the most. Yeah, Richie, 99, I'm cool. I'm there. Nick, Peerless does, but the Peerless young ryes are really good. I mean, they're unfortunately kind of expensive, but Dustin, this is a totally, not even a fair comparison. The Redemption 18, which, by the way, thank you for sending me that. Still, thank you. I can't believe I was able to taste it. It had that crazy mineral note on it. It was just so old. Tasted like you were licking limestone or something. You know, like, I've never done that, but what I would imagine it tastes like to lick limestone or rocks or something. It had that kind of a quality to it, and that texture. It was just so old. And these are so bright and vibrant. Just not a good comparison. Keith says, if you want to do a Patreon taste along, I'll donate 2 or 3 bottles so you're not having to supply everything. Keith, man, that's really generous. Let me know. Let me know what you want me to taste, because, you know, some of the stuff I might already have. So if you shoot me a message, I definitely am going to be doing more on Patreon this month. I'm going to try to get 2 live streams in. So if you have any ideas, let me know. And if there's something I don't have, then yeah, feel free to send it along, and that would be awesome. Be more than willing. Yeah, Nick, there you go. That's the Redemption 18. Derek, so Michter's Barrel Strength Rye is just a darker profile. It's got some bitterness to it, some kind of coffee notes on the back end. It's a little more like red fruit. You know, it's more of a Kentucky rye style, obviously. But to me, I've always gotten that kind of weird, funky, bitter, rubbery note. Like I talk about that in a couple different pours. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know if it's the kind of toasting or char that they do on the barrels. But the Michter's Barrel Strength Rye is not my favorite. But it's certainly not anywhere close to like the bright lemon, mint, spearmint notes of these whiskeys. And honey, too. I mean, it's just a darker profile. And it has, instead of like dill and like mintiness, it replaces that with cinnamon spice, which is more classically Kentucky. Copper Wolf. Yeah, there's been a couple things tonight. Oh, Keith says, I meant like a blind flight thing like Amy said. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I see what you're talking about now. Yeah, so people win things, and I try to guess it. Okay. I got to think about this. Maybe I'll reach out to you and Amy to kind of talk about maybe how this could materialize. I like this idea, and I think Patreon would be a good first place to kind of test the idea. Or keep it exclusive to that if it ends up being something that's really kind of cool. I'm going to take Sagamore over both of these, honestly, because I just like the profile more. These are just so bright. And here's the thing. If you're a true rye lover who likes this kind of a profile, you're going to want these over the Sagamore or the Old Forester Barrel Proof. And the Sagamore is probably the same mash bill as this Willet, I would imagine. But the Sagamore is just a much darker profile. All right, guys, I gotta jump out of here. I'm gonna end tonight with a final sip of this Willet, and then I'll finish the handy once I'm off the stream. But thank you, Toshi, for the Willet, of course, again. Thank you, YPC, for the Thomas Handy. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the stream. I appreciate you being here. Hit the like button, please, right now on your way out. It would really help so much. Again, like I've been saying this week, next video you see from me is going to be Old Forester 19 review. I just got to get that thing done. Just been in rehearsals all damn week. So that'll be the next thing you see. And then I'm going to try to either get the Michter's 20 review out after that, which I already have shot. I just need to edit. Or the Junkies versus ADHD Backbone pick. So just keep an eye out for those videos. No Tuesday Taste Along on Tuesday, but we will have some pre-recorded content coming your way. I will be live next Thursday night trying to do a giveaway. Maybe I'll do a blind flight next Thursday. We'll just kind of see what happens. But I don't have any other new bottles on the way to taste like I did tonight, so maybe a flight will be a cool thing. Yeah, Joe, don't want to get demonetized. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. Hope you're all having a good start to your new year. First stream of the new year. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. And I'll see you next week. And I'll see you in some videos between now and next Thursday night. All right, cheers.